Hello and welcome to a new video on this channel. Now I will I will help you in getting your plugins published after the recent requirements update from Invetto. So about in February 2019 they started enforcing their new requirements in plugin review. So they are not allowing any more plugins that don't fully met this extensive set of requirements, code requirements that they set. So it is a pretty large list of requirements, and they are fully enforcing this list. So if your code does not meet any of these points, you will be rejected in review. I also was rejected during the review because I did not have my code fully met all these standards, but I updated the code and now it is fully compatible with the new coding standards. Also, they have a system in which they review all plugins from one's portfolio, and if all plugins meet these requirements, then a new badge will be assigned to the profile that has these plugins, the VP requirements compliant badge. I applied for this badge and I was recently accepted. My name is not appearing here yet because I got the approval email only recently and it takes time for this to process. But CodeRevolution will soon appear here in the badges list for VP requirements compliant list, and the badge will also be seen on my profile. So let's get back, and the purpose of this video. In this video I will want to show you guys how to update your code to meet these requirements. So you can read them in I will link in the video description the link for these requirements. I will also show you the reasons I got my plugins were not approved initially. So these are the 14 reasons my plugins were initially rejected. I fixed all of them, and in this video I will go step by step in the process of understanding and fixing these issues. So I will show you code examples and will help you on how to make your plugins compatible with the new Invetto requirements for plugins. So the first one, is this supposed to be a prefix? And the reviewer sent me this screenshot. So in my code, I will show you also my code. I used pretty shady prefixes like this, and this is not allowed by them anymore. Remember, this code was allowed until February 2019 on Invetto, and it was published. So I had to update all my prefixes. Okay, so this prefix is no longer allowed. I had to change this prefix into something new, into something specific to my plugin. Okay, so after I changed this, this was okay. Remove all unused code. I also had chunks of code that was commented and not used in the plugin. So if we search in this is the older plugin version, I forget to mention, and this is the newest plugin version, which is updated and has all the issues fixed. So this old plugin version has this chunk of code that is not used, that is commented, and the new one does not have it anymore. Okay, let's go enqueue all CSS and JavaScript correctly. Before I had scripts and CSS directly in the file of the PHP file. An example of this is this. This is the old version. I had scripts directly added into the file. So this is the PHP file that generates one of my menu option pages, and I had scripts added directly to it. However, this is not allowed anymore, and I had to remove the script. And how I added these scripts is like this. Let me search for you. This is how I added. So this is the add submenu page function call that registers my menu page, and it returns a handle. And if you add an action for the load dash and the handle that was returned here, and you set a function to it, you can load JavaScript and CSS only for the page that you wish to load. So like this, I include my own. So I moved this JavaScript into a separated GS file and include it like this only on the page where I need it to. So for the handle I need, return by the add submenu page, load, add action on load dash and the handle name, and the function which loads the GS and CSS, and like this I moved all GS and CSS off the page. As you can see, I had pretty extensive scripts, so I removed all these scripts, and also I had some CSS directly in the page. I removed also this, and as you can see in the updated version of the page, there is no additional CSS or JavaScript. Okay, so this is how to fix this. You have to use vp-enqueue script. This is the function that must be used. This can be called from admin enqueue scripts action, and the admin enqueue scripts action can be added to add action, load, and the submenu page, the handle returned by the add submenu page function. Okay, I hope you understood this. Let's move on. Use on rather than click, bind, hover, submit. And the screenshot they added was this. So before the update, I had in my scripts, let's search for, this is the updated version, sorry. Yeah, I had this kind of actions. I had the JavaScript function dot click and the function that should be executed when clicked on this HTML. So this should be removed and should be exchanged with on. Sorry, I got lost for a minute. Yeah, with on instead of click. So we have to search for this. So to find this, we have to search for the GS file that contains this. So let's search for this, let's say. Okay, and now let's search for this and footer.js. Movie-o-matic scripts footer. And here it is. As you can see, it is replaced. So before it was click function, now it is on click function. So this is pretty simple to change. You only have to change the click function with on click and the second argument for it should be the function that should be called. The reason for this is that on-click is more secure and it has better performance than these other functions from JavaScript. Use proper semantic HTML. As you can see, before I had these HTML in a row, in a long row. So let's check this on the old file. As you can see, HTML right here is not pretty well formatted. Let's check also here. As you can see, HTML is not well formatted, but if we go here, we can see that HTML is nicely formatted now. This means to use proper semantic HTML. To not write HTML in a row so the reviewer can understand it better. So this is not nice. This should be properly formatted from now on. And they no longer allow structures like this to write in a single row things. They require things to be formatted. Okay, let's move on. Escape everything. This is another fun fix I had to make. I had to escape everything in each thing I display to users. So if you echo a variable, you have to escape the contents of that variable properly. So before I had this user display name. Let us check in the old version of the plugin. User. So it is here. As you can see, I echoed the username of a user, WordPress user, directly in the page. This is not allowed because this is risky. If the username contains HTML or JavaScript, that will be executed, and this is not okay. So to make this, you have to use ask.html function. So I use this extensively, and now it works. Please note that this function has many forms, so not only ask HTML, but also ask attribute. Let me show you. So this is the ask attribute. This should be used for attributes instead of ask HTML. Also, there is an ask URL that should be used for escaping URLs. Ask, and there are many functions similar to this. Each one should be used in their proper place. So you have to escape everything. Keep in mind. Okay, so if you wish, I can show you more on this. Let me check for something that I can show you. Okay, so I think this was the only... Okay, let's move on, because we still have issues to list here. All theme text strings are to be translated and properly escaped. So before I did not have the plugins I made translatable, fully translatable. This was an issue, and now I fixed this, and all my plugins are fully translatable. They have a file, and translators can come and translate them, and they will appear in a different language afterwards. Okay, so let's check on this. This is the old version of the plugin. If I check, this is the old version of the plugin. Let's search for company. Okay, then this, I think that it is in this other file. Okay, let's also open this and search for okay, so I show this issue right here. So if you search for moderate pending in the updated version, if we search for moderate pending, should be searched, yeah, okay, this we search for the in this old version, you will see that this was added uh, to the PHP file directly. So this is not okay. Each string that is outputted to the user should be translated and translatable in the first place. So if you output things like this, you should use ask HTML and the translation function that is available in WordPress. So moderate pending should be added to the translation function. Also, it should be escaped. And this is the function that should be used, ask HTML underscore underscore. This is the WordPress version of translation. And also text domain should be added to this function for each course. The text domain should be relevant to the plugin in which you are using it. So this text domain is the slug of my plugin, and I used it as the text domain of the plugin that I use for each function that is like this. So as you can see, before the update it was added directly. After the update, I echo this in a PHP block and moderate pending, so this will be translatable like this, and the translators can come in, translate this text, and afterwards the plugin will output translated strings. Okay, let's move on. Data validation issues have been found in your team. Oh, this is the same as I already talked about this. This is the same as escape everything. Data validation issues were found. So these two are the same. Okay, we can skip this. Don't suppress errors. So if we go on and check the screenshot, you can see that before update I had this kind of iniset. So I used iniset and I suppressed errors from iniset because iniset can throw errors in the debug log, and I said, okay, I'm not interested by these errors, so don't display these to me. But now these are not allowed anymore, so you have to remove all error suppression, each and every error suppression from your code. Okay, this is easy to remove. Let's go on. Instead of using file get contents, fopen, fread, fwrite, fput, chmod, you must use the WordPress file system API equivalent. So if we search for file get contents, for example, this is the most commonly used. if we use search for this function, you will see that I use this function. So this is no longer accepted by reviewers at CodeCanyon and Inveto. So if we search this in the updated version, you will see that I use the WP file system. So you have to use global WP file system. You have to initialize it if it is not initialized, the WP file system. And from there on, you can use the WP file system get contents URL. So this function call was replaced by this whole block. This is a requirement that Invato set. Also, please note that all these changes are required to apply not only on your code base, but also in the code base that you of libraries that are added to your plugin. So if you add, let's say, the Google library in your plugin and use it directly from your plugin, the respective library, you have to change this everything I list here also in the library. So this is pretty hard work to do, but they require it to do. They require this to be done. I also did it on many libraries that are included in my plugins, and it was a hell of a work, but I'm done with it. So yeah, let's move on. All JavaScript should be written with use strict mode on. So if we check a JavaScript file that was before in the plugin, let's see, in the update checker there is one JavaScript here. So as you can see, in this JavaScript there is no use strict. But if we go in the current plugin version to the update checker and JavaScript, you will see that it is the same file, only it has the use strict added in the beginning of the JavaScript file. So they require the use strict to be added to enable strict mode in JavaScript in all JS files you use. Okay, let's move on. Use dashes instead of underscores for handles. This is an easy one to fix. This was added by me in haste. So let's search for this string. Okay, so this is in another plugin, as I see in the screenshot. This is in another plugin, but the thing is that you should use, if you use, let's say, add action. No, sorry. Okay, let's search for somewhere in queue. This is the right one. Yeah. So if you enqueue style or register style or enqueue script, so all these kind of functions should have their handle. This is the handle name of the script or CSS you register. These should have dashes instead of underscores. So here I had underscores, and these needed to be replaced by dashes. So if you enqueue styles or scripts or any similar content, these must be replaced by dashes. Also here it is unused code. This is the old version of the plugin, so this was removed. Let's check in the new version and you will see that this is removed now. Okay. So remember, use dashes instead of underscores for these kinds of handles. Okay. Use protocol relative URLs. This was another fun thing to fix because the reviewer, I think that the reviewer required protocol relative URLs also for core uh, this kind of requests, which curl CURL does not support. So protocol relative URLs are like this, without the HTTP or HTTPS in the front of the URL, only dash dash. But curl does not support this, and this should remain like this. So if the reviewer points out for you that use protocol relative URLs for this kind of requests, please tell them that this is not supported and this cannot happen. Where this can happen instead is if we check the new plugin version for links. So for links, if you have a href, here protocol relative URLs are supported, and here is the place you should use protocol relative URLs. So yeah, as you can see, the updated version has protocol relative URLs here, and the old version does not have these URLs, protocol relative. They had HTTPS. This was removed and protocol relative URLs are used now. Okay, and let's check the final one. Use proper text domain. So for your translations, don't use like this a text domain like this. Always use the text domain of the current plugin. So each plugin should have a text domain and this should be used. I was using this generic text domain because this code, this chunk of code is copied from a library and the library example, so I omitted to change this to my text domain because, as I mentioned, I did not have a proper text domain because my plugins were not fully translatable before this. But starting from now, they are fully translatable and they fully meet the requirements of the new requirements of Envato and CodeCanyon. Okay. So these were the issues I battled until now. I updated all my plugins for my portfolio. If you check my portfolio, I have 93 plugins to date, and I had to update all of them with these changes, and this took me a lot of time. I started this work in January, in the beginning of January, and if we check now, it's the end of April. So yeah, I had pretty much work to do, but yeah, I finally got approved also for the badge I showed you earlier, the WP compliant badge. So yeah, okay. What I must show you one more thing is how to create the pot files. If you check the uh, languages folder, you will see here that the path file is generated from the translations from these. So there is a small executable that generates the path files from all these strings that it finds. So all these calls of translatable strings are collected and the path file is generated from them. From the path file you can generate also the MO and PO files. These contain the actual translations for the plugin. So the PO files are generated by translators, and the MEO files are generated from the PO files, and these contain machine readable translations. Okay, so these are I generated these with the PO edit. So this is the executable I used, the PO edit. Here you can click on translate WordPress theme or plugin. This is the premium version of it, so you should purchase the premium version of PO edit if you want to create pod files. Click on translate WordPress theme or plugin, click on create pod file, go to the plugin folder that you wish to create a pod file for, click select folder, continue, and PO edit extracts the translatable strings from the specific plugin directory, and it adds it to a pod file. So like this, you can easily create your pod files for all your plugins. As you can see, all plugins have the languages folder and all have the pod file generated. Okay, so this is my tutorial video for how to get approved for CodeCanyon after their requirements update. You can check this file also. I recommend that you read this fully and extensively, because there might be many other issues in your code that I did not have and you might have that are listed in this list. So yeah, check this list and be sure to comply to each dot from here. And yeah, if you have questions, don't hesitate asking me. I will help gladly. Okay, so I guess I covered everything I had to cover in this video. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more similar videos, and stay awesome. Bye bye.